Welcome. In this video, I'm going to show you how to play Heroes of Terrinoth and do a solo playthrough. In Heroes of Terrinoth, 1 to 4 players will control a party of heroes working together to complete a series of quests set amid the ruin-bound universe. During quests, heroes increase their powers, they find equipment, and gain abilities necessary to overcome the challenges they will face. I think the best way to teach this game is just to go over the components, do setup, and then head straight into gameplay. So to start with, the game comes with 8 different scenarios to choose from, or quests. They come in different levels of difficulty based on the icon in the upper left corner. We'll go ahead and just start with the Goblin Problem. During the game, you'll be looking mainly at this one screen, but on the flip side, gives you a summary of what's going on. And basically in this one, you were sitting in a bar, of course. Guy walks in complaining of goblins, and we run outside to assist. It'll go through the special setup instructions, how to make our enemy deck, our location decks, and then our exploration deck. We'll explain to you who our enemy is and the victory and defeat conditions. So with that knowledge, we can go through the enemy deck, find Splig. We'll also be looking for goblin archers, goblin witchers, rat swarms. We'll put those 3 groups together, shuffle them up, then put them over top of bandits, cave spiders, and ogres. So in the enemy deck, basically each enemy is going to have 3 cards. In it will be 2 minions of each, and then 1 master that's just going to be a little bit more difficult. So bandits is one of the teams or groups of enemies we're looking for. And cave spiders, so we'll find those 3. Go looking for our ogres. So that's going to make 1 portion of our deck. Then we're looking for goblins and rat swarms. So there's our rat swarms. And then we'll look through here for some goblin archers and goblin witchers. And lastly, our nemesis, we need to find Splig. He'll be the big baddie we need to defeat in the end. So as this says, we'll take the bandits, cave spiders, and ogres, shuffle these together, and put these on the bottom. Then take the other group of enemies and shuffle those together, and put those on top of the other deck to form our enemy deck. For the locations we'll be going through, we'll find the brigand camp, put that on the bottom, put the dark forest on top of that, then the roadside inn on top of that card. So we'll look through our location stack. Brigand camp will go on the bottom. Dark forest will be next. And on the top will be the roadside inn. And the rest we can put away. Now our location stack is set. For the exploration deck, we need to find our base, wild, and village cards and shuffle all those together to create our exploration. So on these, they're labeled at the bottom of the cards. So take all the base cards, and then village and wild cards, and put the others to the side, and shuffle all these together. And set those to the side. So on the main side of our quest, our victory condition is at the end of the round. If the final location is fully explored and Splig is defeated, you win. And our defeat is if all heroes are defeated, you lose. And we'll read the defeat on the back of the sheet there. So when the party travels to the final location, if Splig is in the nemesis layer, we'll explain that in a little bit, spawn him in the shadows. This is our Peril track. We have a tracker here to mark the hour, so after every turn it's going to move up, and depending on what color it lands on, the gray, nothing to happen, but the green, blue, and red will refer down on the chart. So as time progresses, additional things will be happening through the story, and if we get stuck on the red, this will happen every turn. As for supply tokens, we have wound markers with a 1 on one side and a 3 on the other. Progress tokens for our locations, same thing, 1 on one side and 3 on the other. And then success tokens. And all this will make more sense once we get into gameplay. The remaining cards we have are player count cards. So if you play as solo, which I'll be doing, we'll be in charge of 2 characters. And the modifier in the bottom is the additional hit points they'll have. If you're playing with 3 players, everyone's going to get an additional 4. And of course, the game is meant to have 4 going, so there will be no additional cards for a 4-player game. And we also have some condition cards. So we can become poisoned, weakened, or focused. And once we gain these conditions in the game, we'll go over how they affect us. We'll also have a torch to signify who the party leader will be. Some enemy dice. And hero dice. And we'll go over those symbols as we roll them up. And now the heroes. There are 4 different types. We have warriors, healers, scouts, and mages, and we'll be choosing 2 characters for this playthrough. I'm going to choose a healer and a warrior, so we'll go look at the mages first then. So for each archetype, we have 3 cards. We show a special ability and hit points. So we've got Landric the Wise, Lisa, and Astara. And this is basically an action selection game. So each character is going to have 4 action cards. All will be similar, but slightly different. So they'll be able to take a rest action, explore, attack, or aid. And we'll get into that as we play through it. We have the scouts, so carry Wraithstalker, Tethyrus, and Tumble Burrowell, and his action cards. We won't be choosing any of those, so go ahead and just set those to the side. For warriors, our options are One Fist, Krutzbeck, or Cindrail, and that's the one we're going to choose. She has an ability that when resolving your action, you may reroll 1 die and starts with 14 health. And we'll take the 4 basic warrior cards for activations for the attack, explore, aid, and rest abilities. For our healer, our 3 options are Elder Monk, Averick Albright, and Ashrian. And we'll choose her. So at the start of the enemy phase, you may exhaust 1 minion or master engaged with you, and she'll come into play with 13 health, plus the 10. And her 4 basic activation cards to attack, explore, aid, and rest. So we've got everything in place to play. The game does come with a reference sheet explaining during an action for each success results, resolve the following effects. So if we're doing an attack activation, target enemy suffers wounds equal to the number of successes. For exploring, we add a progress to the active location. For resting, the active hero will recover health. And if we're aiding, target hero claims success tokens, which can be used on their die rolls for additional successes. Also goes over the different icons we can see on our dice. So for the heroes dice, we have successes, which can come either in singles, doubles. We have a critical success, which counts as 1 success, but it allows you to re-roll the die to keep adding to that. And then we have a defense icon, so we can ignore wounds coming in from the enemies. Then for the enemy dice, we have a threat token, or threat icon. That'll be explained on the nemesis card. And we have a counter attack. And it also explains wounds, which will be these, and of course our success tokens. Also, on the back of the rule book, I have a quick reference that goes over the phases of the game. So for every turn, there are 4 phases. We have the hero phase, in which we'll do our Act 2 activations each in a 2-character game. We have the enemy phase, to where all the ready enemies will activate. Peril phase will advance the peril marker up and do any additional text that applies. Then lastly, the travel phase will do location abilities on that. And it goes over the main keywords. Once again, goes over the symbology, difficulty of each of the monsters we'll be seeing, and once again, the 4 different actions. So taking a look at our nemesis card, you see his name, we can see he's actually nemesis. What we have here is the amount of damage he does when he attacks. Over here we basically have an armor value and health to defeat. When he does activate, this is the order. He'll advance, inflict damage, and then retreat. Special text in play: while the active location is fully explored, apply -1 to this enemy's resilience, which will bring his armor value down by 1. And then whenever we roll the skull on the die, this is what will happen. We'll either discard a success token or discard a progress token from the active location. So starting off, we will flip location up, which is the roadside inn. At the end of the travel phase, each hero may discard a success to recover a wound. These symbols on the side, the top one, that's how many enemies will become engaged with our heroes, starting with the active hero, and I've chosen to have our warrior be our leader. And then 3 other enemies will come out, and they will be face down in the shadows. And this is the number of progress tokens we will need on this in order to proceed to the next location. So our first enemy will come engaged with our warrior, Goblin archers. It'll be ready. So it's just got 2 health, doing 1 damage. When it activates, it's going to take an aim shot, which is referenced on the card. If this enemy is in the shadows, which means it's not engaged, it's out in the middle of the playboard. The hero with the fewest engaged enemies will suffer 2 wounds. So it will take a shot, and then it's going to retreat, and then it's going to inflict 1 damage to someone. Then we have 3 come out face down in the shadows. So we are all set up and ready to play. I'll be using a die just to help me keep track of who's activated. So I'll put that on 1 and let our warrior take first activation. So we can choose from any of our 4 activations. Once we use one, it'll be exhausted and we won't be able to use it again until it becomes readied. And that's basically what our rest card will do. But we'll get into that when we use it. For this activation, we are going to use our attack and cleave. So there's going to be bullet points on here, and we basically start at the top and work our way down. So we may become engaged with 1 enemy. So we can pull another enemy out of the shadows to come down with us, or pull one from another player over. But we're just going to stick, we are not going to do that, and we'll just stick with the goblin archers that we have. Then we're going to attack by taking 2 dice. And before resolving this action, you may target up to 2 enemies. So we'll go ahead and put this down activated. That's going to give us 2 hero dice. Because we have 1 readied enemy in play with us, we will also be adding 1 enemy die into this roll. So we'll take those and see what we get. So basically what we have here is 2 shields for defense and 1 success. And we're getting a counter attack. So the goblin archers will be doing 1 damage to us. Because of our special ability, when resolving our action, we may reroll 1 die. So we're going to go ahead and reroll this 1 defense. Getting another success and shield. So after we finish rolling the dice, we resolve the hero dice. So we're going to do 2 damage to the archers, which will be enough to kill it. We'll go ahead and resolve the enemy dice, so it's going to strike back at us, doing 1 damage, but we have enough shields to block that, so we'll discard this enemy. If we had any threats, we'd also take care of that. And the cleanup was basically discarding that card. So that was our first action. So now we'll go over to our healer. We're going to go ahead and have her use her aid action. So field medicine. We're going to roll 2 dice. There's no enemies engaged with us, so there's no enemy dice. So we have 2 successes. And the aid action allows us to put success tokens on for another player. They can have a maximum of 5 tokens, but can only use 2 with an action ability. Next down the list, the target hero may ready 1 activation card. So we'll take the attack action and ready that. And the target hero recovers 2 wounds, but there's no damage, but we're okay, it's ready for an attack. So back to its second activation. We're going to go ahead and cleave again. You may become engaged with 1 enemy, so we'll just pick one of these, bring it down to us. We found a Goblin Witcher. So 0 defense and 4 health. Going down the list, now we'll go ahead and attack, rolling 2 dice. And with the 1 engaged, we'll get 1 enemy die. So we've got a blank enemy dice. We're good with that one. Probably should have added a success token or 2 in there, but you have to put these in before you actually roll the dice. So we've got 3 damage. I'm going to go ahead and risk it and use her ability to re-roll this die, hoping for something better. So that adds a success in there, and we get a re-roll. So we've done our 4 wounds now. So we will kill this. Since there's no activation there, it will not strike back. So we'll go ahead and do the cleanup, which is discarding this card. Get that out of the way. Then on to our healer. We're going to do an explore action, rolling 2 dice. So this is how we put progress on our location. No enemies engaged, so just 2 hero dice. So we've got 2 plus a reroll. So we just put that out there to remember. So we ended up with 4 successes. And we need 6, so we're well on our way. And then the last thing on this list is to draw and resolve 1 exploration card. So we've got an event, so this will happen immediately. If you realize that your steps are being followed, no doubt the newcomer means you harm. Spawn 1 enemy face down in the shadows. So just draw another card to put out there. That completes the hero phase. So we'll go into the enemy phase. So we need to activate all enemies in play, alternating back and forth between our heroes until all enemies have been activated. So our warrior will just pick this card. It's going to do the Hex ability. This enemy is engaged with you, become weakened. It's in the shadows, so it is not engaged. It's going to retreat back to the shadows and then inflict. So that'll be 2 damage for our warrior. Then we'll activate an enemy with our healer. Same thing, Hex. It's not engaged, so it's going to retreat, and this one's a lesser one, so it's just going to do 1 damage. We'll get that out of the way. And then our warrior will go back and activate the last one. So it's going to do the swarm. This enemy becomes engaged with the hero with the most engaged enemies. Since they're tied, we can choose. So it's just going to go after our warrior, but it does not inflict, so no damage is coming from this. So now we've done the hero phase, completed the enemy phase, and now we're going to the peril phase. The peril marker advances and any peril effects are resolved. So we're just going to move this 1 space to a gray spot, so nothing will be activated. But the next turn, green will activate for each goblin in play. The party leader chooses 1 hero to suffer a wound. Each hero upgrades an activation card. And then for the travel phase. Location abilities occur and the party may travel to a new location. So we only have 4 out of 6 progress on this. So at the end of the travel phase, each hero may discard a success to recover a wound. And we're not too bat off, so we'll just keep it where we're at. So we start round 2. So this will be the first activation for our warrior. Enemies would have readied at the end of the turn. We'll go ahead and have our warrior do some exploring. So it's going to explore, rolling 2 dice. And it's got 1 engaged enemy, so there will be a black die involved. We'll go ahead and spin one of our tokens for an additional success. So the enemy's got a counterattack, and we have a total of 3 successes. I'll choose not to reroll a die and just go with that. So we'll put 3 successes on our location, which will take it above where it needs to be. The enemy will counterattack, doing 1 damage to us, so we'll go from 2 to 3 wounds. Then we will continue down our list here, so draw and resolve an exploration card. Then we'll claim a success token. So we found an item, so these we can hold until we choose to play them. This will let us discard this card after a hero's activation. If you do, choose 2 heroes to each ready 1 activation card. We'll go ahead and hold on to that for now. And then gain a success token. For a healer's turn, I'm just going to go ahead and do a rest action. May exhaust 1 minion engaged with you. We don't have any. We can roll a die when resolving this action. Apply +1 shield to the results. So we'll roll 1 die and see how much we can heal. Healing 1. If all your other activation cards are exhausted, we can choose another hero to recover 1, but they're not all exhausted. And I chose not to fight because I don't want to be engaged with any of these, because bad things happen when they're engaged at the start of their turn. And then I will ready all of my activation cards. Then we'll go back to our warrior for its second activation. Have her go ahead and do a rest action also. So we may exhaust 1 minion engaged with us. So this is a minion, so we'll go ahead and exhaust that card. We'll do a rest. Since it's exhausted, we do not roll a black die. See how much we heal here. So we have a burst, so there's 1. So we just healed 1. Back to 2 damage. If all our other activation cards are exhausted, we would claim a success, but they aren't all exhausted. Then ready our activation cards. Then we'll have a healer take her second action. We can do aid, rolling 2 hero dice, losing 1 in the process off the table. So we have 2 successes. So we'll give that to our warrior. Target hero may ready an activation card. It's already set there. Target hero recovers 2 wounds. So we'll get rid of this damage and put that back in exhausted, and that will end the hero phase. For the enemy phase, this rat's already exhausted, so he'll activate the master. Hex doesn't have an effect since it's in the shadows. It's going to retreat and do 2 damage. And our healer will activate this one. Once again, Hex isn't applied since it was in the shadows. Retreat and inflict 1 damage. Monsters were ready. We'll go into the Peril phase. Move this on to the green ability. For each goblin to play, the party leader chooses 1 hero to suffer a wound. We have 2 goblins in play, so we'll each take an additional wound. And then each hero upgrades an activation card. So starting with our warrior. Basically, there's another 2 sets of the same actions we're working on. We're choosing either to be a warrior knight or a warrior berserker. So they each have different abilities that they'll allow us to get. I'll go ahead and choose to be a berserker, and I'm going to upgrade the attack skill. So we will replace the original cleave to become a skullcracker, And that will come into play in the same state as it was before, so it's going to be ready. For our healer, the options are to become a disciple or a spirit seeker. I'll choose Spirit Seeker and take on Blessed Strike, replacing our Clobber. And we'll take a closer look at those cards shortly because we'll be using them here to kill some goblins. So for traveling, we have enough to progress this. So the way this works is we will discard the active location and any progress tokens on it. Any enemies in the shadows will also be discarded. We have the option of passing the party leader token, but we'll just keep it on our warrior. Then we will bring out the new location, so it's a dark forest. We're going to be spawning 3 enemies engaged with us, starting with the party leader, and then 1 in shadows. And then at the end of the travel phase, the party leader rolls 1 enemy die. On a counterattack, he or she becomes poisoned. On a threat, spawn an enemy face down in the shadows. So first, our 3 to be engaged, Goblin Archers, coming over to our warrior. Rat Swarm Master over to our healer. And then another Minion Rat Swarm over to our warrior. Then we will get 1 face down in the shadows. Then back to our hero phase for round 1. So it's a good time to show you the new attack card. So we may become engaged with up to 2 enemies, where we can have a max of 3 enemies engaged with us, so we definitely don't want to take on any more. For our attack, we're going to get 3 dice. Before resolving this action, you may target up to 3 enemies. When resolving this action, you may suffer 1 wound to re-roll a die, limit once per action. So we're going to target all of these and hope to score big. We're going to go ahead and spend our 2 max successes on this. We're going to get 3 hero dice, and since we have 3 readied enemies with us, we're going to get 3 enemy dice. So we have 7 successes showing, with 1 counterattack and a blank. For re-rolling a die, I'll choose this one just to see if I can get a blank. And I got the skull instead, so a threat. So we'll resolve our dice first, so we're doing 7 damage, which will be enough to kill these 2. They don't leave just yet. We will resolve the threat ability. So this is where this comes into play. Either we have to discard a success token or discard a progress from the active location. We have a success to us, so we'll discard that. There's no counterattacks. So for cleanup, we'll just discard these 2. And down to just 1 enemy. We'll have our healer try to put some progress tokens on our location. So she'll explore, rolling 2 hero dice and 1 enemy dice. Basically, so no successes. The rats will attack back with 1 damage, but we have 2 shields to soak that up. So nothing there. Then we will draw and resolve an exploration card. Finding a refreshing spring. Crystal waters flow into a clear, serene pool, offering much needed refreshment. May either recover 2 wounds or claim 2 success tokens. We will claim 2 success tokens. We'll go ahead and regroup with our warrior here. So we may exhaust a minion engaged with you. So exhaust our rats. Do some healing with 1 die. Getting 1 success. So we're just down to 2 wounds. Third one doesn't apply since we don't have everything exhausted. And then we'll go ahead and ready all of our cards. Then we will have our healer do her Blessed Strike. So you may become engaged with 1 enemy. We'll choose not to. We get to attack with 3 dice. And then after that, we'll claim 2 success tokens and recover a wound. So 3 hero dice. one enemy dice, and we'll go ahead and spend a success token on this. So we've got 2 with a crit. So we'll re-roll that. Getting a 3rd success. So we're doing 5 damage, which is going to be enough to kill it. It will do a counter attack. So we'll take 1 damage, going from 2 to 3. And for cleanup, discard the card. Then we will claim 2 success tokens and recover a damage. So for the enemy's turn, we only have 1 that's not exhausted. So it's going to take an aim shot. So if this enemy is in the shadows, the hero with the fewest engaged enemies suffers 2 damage. So it's going to take a shot at our healer and taking 2 more damage. Then it's going to retreat and inflict 1 damage on the active player. So that will go up to 3 damage. Enemies will ready. For the peril phase, we'll move it over to a gray spot so nothing's going to happen. Then for traveling, we have no exploration, so at the end of the travel phase, party leader rolls an enemy die, and then we'll see what happens. So we rolled a counterattack, so he or she becomes poisoned. So poisoned, before you resolve your action, suffer a wound. After you resolve your rest action, discard this card. So on to round 1. We will suffer a wound. We're going to crack some skulls. We're going to choose to become engaged with the archers here. Roll 3 dice. We'll also spend a success token on this. So we get 3 hero dice and 2 enemy. So I'm good with what I'm seeing so far. So on the burst, we'll add another success and roll again. So for applying our damage, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll go ahead and put 2 damage on the archers, which will kill them, and then put 2 damage on the rat swarm. For the counterattack, it's going to swing back. Both of them do 1 damage each, so it doesn't matter which one we pick, and we will block it with our shield. And then clean up, removing the archers. For a healer, she's got 1 option, and that's to heal thyself. So we don't have any minions with us to exhaust. We'll roll 1 hero die. And we'll go ahead and add 2 successes to this. So burst, rolling again. Another burst, rolling again. So heal 5, but we've only got 4 on us. So that went well. All your other activation cards are exhausted. Choose one other hero. That hero recovers a wound. So they're all exhausted. So we'll heal our warrior 1. And then we will ready all our activation cards. Onto our warrior. Because of the poison, it's going to suffer damage. Then it's going to go ahead and rest. Exhausting a minion engage with it. Rolling a die to heal. Getting a burst. So that's 1 success. And 2. So we'll heal 2. And then ready our cards. And get rid of poisoned. Our healer will go into forge mode. We'll explore, rolling 2 dice. Spending a success. So we'll add 4 into the dark forest for exploration. And then we will draw and resolve an exploration card. Finding a Wanderer's Stone item. may discard this card when a hero is resolving his or her explore action. If you do, apply +1 to the results. So we are done with the heroes phase. Enemies, they've got none ready, so they're done. Peril phase, we'll move this up to the blue action. So spawn 1 goblin from the enemy discard pile engaged with each hero. Each hero upgrades an activation card. So let's see what kind of goblins we got. We've got some goblin archers, so we'll give those to each of our heroes. Since our hero is taking most of the damage, with the 3 upgrades left, we're going to choose the rest action to bar the way. So we may exhaust 1 minion engaged with this when we activate this card. We'll be rolling 2 dice to heal with, adding +1 shield to the results. If all our other activation cards are exhausted, we'll claim 2 success tokens and then ready our cards. So this will come into play ready. And with our healer, between the aid, rest, and explore, we're going to take divine guidance. So when we explore, we'll roll 3 dice. Before resolving this action, we'll flip 1 face down enemy in the shadows face up. If there are no face down enemies in the shadows, we'll apply 1 success to the results, and then draw and resolve an exploration card. This will come into play exhausted, since that's the state of the current card in play. Then for the travel phase, we only have 4 on this, and we need 7. So party leader is going to roll an enemy die. And then he or she's going to become poisoned again. So we just got rid of it, and it's back. And back to the hero phase. We're going to go do what we've been doing, crack some skulls. We'll become engaged with up to 2 enemies. There's only 2 in play with us right now. We don't want to take on any more. Roll 3 dice, but we can resolve this action. We can target both of these guys. And then we can take a damage to re-roll a die once on this activation. So 3 hero dice, 2 enemy dice, and off we go. So 2 counter attacks, a shield, and a crit. We'll add in another success to re-roll this die. So we've got 3 successes, which is going to be enough to kill both the rat swarm and the archers. Both of them will counter attack. So we've got 2 damage coming to us, and we can block 1. I could try to reroll one of these, but I'm afraid one of these is going to come up and we'll lose progress. So I'll just take the extra damage. We'll go up to 3 damage. And then for cleanup, these guys will go away. And don't remember, but I think I forgot my poison, so we'll go ahead and take a damage. So after that activation, we'll go ahead and use our Book of Stars. Discard this card after a hero's activation. If you do, choose 2 heroes to each ready an activation card. So we'll ready that back and our Divine Guidance. And then for her turn, we'll go ahead and use this to explore. So we're getting 3 dice. 1 enemy. There are no face down cards to flip up. So that means we'll get +1 success to this, and then we'll be able to draw and resolve an exploration card. So that was a little bit terrible. So we get 2 successes plus the 1 from this. So we've got 3 successes going up. The threat, we don't have an option of getting rid of a success token, so we'll lose 1 progress, which will take us from 7 down to 6. And then we will draw and resolve a card. So sudden move. Your foe spies an opening in your defense and makes a desperate advance. The readied enemy with the highest difficulty activates and then readies. So we've only got 1 in play. So he'll activate. Aim shot. He's not in the shadow, so he'll retreat and inflict 1 damage. So for a warrior, take 1 from the poison. We'll advance just so we can go to the next space. Exploring, rolling 2 dice. I'll go ahead and re-roll this one. Didn't matter. We got 1, which is kind of what we needed, but sometimes overkill is a little nice. We'll draw and resolve an exploration. So Hornet's Nest. Battle takes you near a nest of angry hornets. If thrown, it may serve as a deadly weapon. You may become poisoned. If you do, choose 1 hero. Each enemy engaged with that hero suffers a damage. So we're already poisoned. There's no enemies engaged with us, so we'll just discard this for no effect. And then claim a success token. So that was its second activation. Then our healer will go on a Blessed Strike to become engaged with an enemy and roll 3 dice. Plus 1 enemy dice. Getting 2 crit successes and a defense. But worse, we're going to lose a progress token here. So there's our 2 successes. So we end up doing 4 damage, which will kill the archers. We'll lose 1 of our progress tokens. And for cleanup, move this archer. Probably should have used this stone when I had my warrior explore, but I thought things would go better. The dice have failed me. So that ends our heroes activations. There's no enemies in play to do anything. So for the Peril phase, we'll move this onto a gray spot. We're not progressing, so we'll roll a enemy dice and see what happens. Our hero remains poisoned. So we'll start off taking a damage. We'll go ahead and rest. So there's no minions in play. We'll roll 2 dice. Getting 1 and a crit success. So we'll heal 3. Then we will ready our other cards and become unpoisoned. Our healer will use some field medicine, rolling 2 dice. Getting a success and a crit. So 3 success tokens for our warrior. No activation cards ready, but we'll recover 2 health. Then back to his turn. He will go ahead and explore. Just for good measure, we'll add 1 token in there. So getting 3. And our healer will heal. So rolling 1 die. Healing 2. All our other activations are exhausted, so we can heal 1 more from our warrior and then ready all our cards. That will end our turn. No enemies, so nothing there. Peril phase, we'll move over, spawn 2 enemies in the shadows, then if Splig is in the nemesis lair, spawn him engaged with the party leader. So we're getting 2 in shadows, and he spawns with our party leader. Travel phase, we have enough to move on, so we will. We'll get rid of those. This card is gone. Enemies in the shadow area are also discarded. I'll keep this token on the same person and flip our final destination. So at the start of the travel phase, the party leader chooses 1 hero. That hero may ready 1 activation card and roll an enemy die. On a counterattack, spawn an enemy face down in the shadows. We will spawn 1 enemy, engage with our leader. It's going to be a bandit. And then 3 will come out in shadows, and we need to get this to 8. We'll go for some skull cracking. We'll choose not to engage any more enemies and roll our 3 dice, targeting the 2 we're with. So 3 hero dice, 2 enemy dice, and we'll go ahead and add 1 success to this. So right now we've got 4 successes going, 1 shield, 1 attack coming, and we're activating the threat. So with the 4 damage, we'll put 2 on this one, which will kill it. The other 2 will be blocked. For the counter attack, Splig will swing for 2, we'll block 1 and take 1 damage. And then we must discard a success token or 1 progress, so we'll lose another success. And clean up. Our healer will go exploring. Before, we'll flip 1 face down enemy just to see what we've got going. Got a bandit over there. So we'll get 3 dice. We'll go ahead and use our stone to get an additional success. So rolling 3 dice, getting a total of 4 successes. So we're halfway there. Then draw and resolve exploration card, finding a firebomb. You may discard this card after a hero's activation. If you do, each enemy in the shadows suffers 1 damage. So we will go ahead and use our firebomb to throw damage on everybody. So for activation number 2, we're going to go ahead and protect. We may become engaged with an enemy. We're going to choose not to. We're going to aid rolling 2 dice. There'll be 1 black dice in there also. 2 shields and a threat. That was terrible. We'll re-roll 1 of our hero dice. Didn't change anything, so we will lose a success token because of the threat here. Then the target hero may ready 1 activation card. So she will ready Divine Guidance and go ahead and do it again. We'll see what's underneath this one. Giant ogre. And just to show, the armor does not affect on cards that do damage, only for combat dice. So 3 hero dice. Getting 1, 2, and a burst. So we'll roll again. So we've gotten to another 4. So when the active location is fully explored, we apply -1 to this enemy's resilience. So now it's just got 1 armor. But we are done with the hero phase. For the enemy phase, Splig is going to go through his, so he's going to advance. He's already there. Inflict 2 damage. And then retreat back to the shadows. So our healer will take the bandit, who's going to advance and backstab. This enemy is engaged with you and you have at least 1 other enemy engaged with you, suffer a damage, or by herself. So then it's just going to inflict 1 damage on us. Our warrior will go ahead and pick this one. It's face down. So it's going to bash, so it's not engaged. So we'll ignore that ability. It's just going to advance. But it's going to be doing 3 damage, so we're not happy about that. And then he is the Master Ogre. And then our healer will pick this one. So the bash, not engaged. He's just going to advance and be in the way, and we'll ready our enemies. Jump into the Peril phase, which is stuck in the red right now, which means we spawn 2 enemies in the shadows. Go to the travel phase. There's nowhere else to go. So at the start of the travel phase, the party leader chooses 1 hero, and that hero may activate a card and roll an enemy die. I'm going to choose not to, so none of the others applies. And go back for our first round. So just to go over our victory condition again, we have to do two things. At the end of the round, if the final location is fully explored, which it currently is with 8, but we know that can change depending on what we roll on the dice. And Splig is defeated, we win. So we need to keep at least 8 progress on this and do a lot of damage to Splig. So our warrior has one option, and that's called barring the way. So we may exhaust a minion engage with you. Unfortunately, this is a master, not a minion. So we're going to rest, rolling 2 dice, adding 1 shield to those results. So get 2 hero dice and 1 enemy die. I think that's out of play. So there we're good. We'll use our reroll on this die. So we have 2 successes, which will get us down to 1 wound. All your other activation cards are exhausted, and they are. We'll claim 2 success tokens. And then ready all our activation cards. For our healer, may become engaged with 1 enemy. She's going to tell Splig to come on over. We're going to roll 3 dice with 3 enemy dice. That's going to hurt. So 3 counter attacks. But we have 5 showing, so we'll add that in there and re-roll. So we're doing 6 damage. We're going to throw it all on Splig, and he's -1 to resilience. So that'll be 5 damage on him. And then with 3 counterattacks, everyone's hitting. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 damage on us. So that's going to take us up to 6. And then we are going to claim 2 success tokens and recover 1 damage. So for the second activation, our Skullcracker is going to become engaged with up to 2 more enemies. So we're going to pick Splig and the Bandit. It's going to give us our 3 hero dice and 3 enemy dice. We're going to save 1 just in case and use 1 success token. So that worked for us. We have 2 blanks and a threat token, which I'll probably re-roll at the end depending on what happens. So we've got 2 there with a crit. So we'll do a re-roll, which gets us to 1 less than what we need for the kill. So I'll go ahead and reuse that re-roll for our ability. Getting a crit. So that's enough to kill Splig. So 6 damage on him minus the 1. We'll put the 10 damage on him. From his ability, we'll lose 1 of our success tokens. Then we will clean up. Splig is dead. Get these out of the way. Go to a healer second turn. She's just going to heal herself, so exhaust a minion engaged with her. Roll 1 die for healing. We'll go ahead and add a success on there. Healing some more. So a total of 3 wounds healed. Then we'll ready all of our cards. So that concludes the heroes phase. So now we just need to not die or lose any progress tokens. Enemies will activate. We'll start with the backstabber. He's already advanced. He'll backstab, which will do 1 damage. and then inflict 1 more damage. So he's done. Our healer will pick 1 card in shadows. He's just going to advance. He's going to bash. If this enemy is engaged with you, suffer 1 wound for each of your exhausted activation cards. Fortunately, we just healed, so nothing there. Then our healer is going to advance, backstab for 1, and then inflict us for another 1. We'll follow through with the Peril phase, which means spawn 2 enemies. We'll spawn 1 out. Since the enemy deck is empty, we'll shuffle these up. And bring out 1. And then start of the travel phase. We'll choose not to do anything so nothing happens. Then we will meet our victory condition. End of the round, final location is fully explored, and Splig is defeated. You win. Read the victory condition. So another goblin falls before you as the rest break and flee. This place isn't even worth raiding anymore, Splig announces as he turns tail. Back to the mine, boys. You think better pursuing at this hour? Much worse things come out at night than goblins. For now, you feel content that a reward should be awaiting you back in Gold Hall. And that's the basics for playing Heroes of Terrinoth. Hope you enjoyed this video. If so, please click on the like button below and be sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching.